Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Aware, Relaxed, Connected podcast. Join me as we explore approaches and orientations towards cultivating the physical body, the internal landscapes, the mind, and our relationship with reality as a whole. I'm your host, Craig Mallet. Happy 2026 to everyone listening, and welcome back. I had a little bit of a break over the Christmas, New Year's period, and also welcomed a daughter into the world. So I've been taking a bit of time off, but it's time to get stuck back into things now. The podcast today is an interview with my friend Adrian Cannovo. He is a long-time martial arts practitioner and a very skilled practitioner of internal martial arts in particular, so he can do some really funky stuff. The podcast was actually recorded in mid-December, I think. So it's a little bit delayed, but nevertheless, I thought I'd release it and get it out today. The other thing that's going on before I get stuck into the actual meat of the podcast is that I've just released one more program on my courses platform. You can find that at courses.craigmallet.com. This program is about the arms and coordination and linking external coordination, as in just knowing where you are and where you're going, with internal coordination, how the movement of the hands affects the movement of the interior. And part of this program is really about knowing your basic dimensionality. So 6 directions, up, down, forward, back, left, right, 3 planes of motion, frontal, sagittal, transverse, and how to really feel those internally so you don't have to know them by thinking about them. Anyway, it's a pretty involved course. It's probably one of the more advanced courses I've released to date and definitely needs a little bit of existing knowledge. So you should have at least done one other course of mine before getting it. You can jump in the deep end if you want, but nevertheless, I recommend a little bit more experience before doing that. But it'll really, the principles inside will really take you somewhere quite interesting and quite deep if you apply them and keep practicing with them. So that's out now. You can find it on the courses website. As always, with any of the courses, you can message me about it. Okay, so on with the podcast. I really had fun chatting with Adrian in this podcast, and he's got a lot of interesting insights. And he does things in a very simple way. The way he teaches is not with a lot of words. He tends to show rather than talk about, which I like. So you can check Adrian out. I'll put some links to his YouTube and everything and socials in the show notes. And otherwise, enjoy the interview. All right, welcome back to the podcast. I'm here with Adrian Cannovo from Yang Mian system, and Adrian's been a buddy of mine for a while now. I can't remember when we actually met. It was some years ago at a workshop or something like that. But we've got a bunch of mutual friends as well, and the internal martial arts world is a small world, so you tend to run into a lot of the same people when you're in that world. And Adrian's been a big influence on me recently in my training because we've been hanging out together every maybe 2 months or something like that with the Brisbane West End Push Hands crew. And so he's been sharing his insights to his practice with me, and I thought I'd get him on the podcast and let him share a bit with the broader public because he's got really, really cool stuff. He's probably one of the very few people in internal martial arts who can actually fight with internal martial arts, which is a rare thing if you know that world. So yeah, nice to have you on board, and looking forward to teasing a bit of that wisdom out of you in this podcast.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Nice. So just with all the guests, I tend to get them to do a bit of an introduction. Most of the audience, I guess, are not necessarily well versed in the internal martial arts or Neigong kind of world. I think a majority of my audience come from movement culture kind of background. So I always also just tell people to dumb it down a bit or keep it as simple as possible and not assume people understand terms. So yeah, maybe just an intro from your background, the system that you train, and roughly what it's about.
Okay. So to do that properly, I'll have to sort of go back to the beginning. I find giving the initial story sort of helps to understand where I'll be coming from for the rest of the chat.
Yep.
And then in regards to dumbing it down, that's easy. I don't know any of the technical terms.
Excellent.
I just we in our system we just do the work. You know, it's more just shut up and move. So
Mhm.
you sort of we have a saying: you're given the Superman suit without instructions. You have to figure it out.
Mm.
Um, so anyway, the beginning was I used to, I guess from 8 years old, train in regular martial arts because my dad, who was a ex-military fella, um, he believed the man needs to know how to defend himself. So it was, off to martial arts. That was my hobby. That was my sport. And that vehicle was karate and like a sort of a street orientated taekwondo for some years, up until about maybe 17 when I got introduced to, I think, Chole Fut, that's pronounced correctly. And I thought that was cool, seeing the fluidity of Kung Fu and seeing how much more practical it was for real life application. You there was a few times throughout high school where I'd use my karate or taekwondo skills, and sometimes I'd see the shortcomings. Um, but I definitely found that the kung fu had a more realistic approach to dealing with a threat instantly, and I sort of appreciated it from there. Um, and then that was sort of the time we'd be coming up, after a few more years of training. I think my early 20s, the internet was a little bit more up and running. Um, I decided to look into Kung Fu. And in particular, I wanted to learn about Chi because I used to enjoy my Kung Fu movies. And, I figured that all this Chi stuff and these flying people must come from somewhere. Where do they get this sort of imagination from?
Mm.
Um, and I was fortunate my teacher had just started teaching publicly at that stage. Still just training out of his garage, a little unit in Campsie. Um, but it had all the pretty words. The chi circulates through your body, creates this devastating explosive force, power you can hear, see, and feel from 50 meters away. It was like, oh, okay, what is this? I've done this external style of martial arts without even knowing people called it that. Just to me, it's just martial arts. Um, and you know, I wasn't scared of a fight every now and again. So meeting my teacher was quite interesting. Um, we had a big chat sort of before I started. He introduced himself, and it was straight into the deep stuff. You talking about the spirit and the involvement in kung fu, and the purpose of sort of kung fu, which was the cultivation aspect. It wasn't just kicking and punching. He like or forms. To him, that stuff is nonsense. It's about developing yourself, cultivating yourself, changing yourself, and through that process, developing sort of immense power. And so he talked a lot. And then I remember just thinking, okay, wow, this just sounds so good. But because you know, uh, I understood that a punch is a punch and a kick is a kick, and that stuff hurts when it hits you. So I felt compelled to ask him, prove it, show me what this chi is that you're talking about. And all he said was, yeah, no problem. And he flicked his hands or flicked his hand and he touched my torso. And he just stood there and smiled. I thought for about 3 seconds, I thought, wow, this guy's a real idiot. Like he just talked all this stuff and he just touched me and he thought it's going to hurt me. Like, what a joke. And it took about 3 seconds while I was thinking these thoughts until I felt this sensation spreading throughout my body, like hands grabbing my organs and spreading out. And it was very painful. I just took a step back or two steps back and I looked at him. I felt like a wild animal looking at him like, what the hell did you just do to me? And it was from there that he explained what he had done. And it was from there that I knew I'd stumbled onto what I was curious about and wanted to learn, wanted to try to embody. And that sort of started that journey there. Um, so I guess that's what got me into it. Now, I'm just going to ask you to reiterate your question before I go further.
It was just an introduction to your approach and what you do now. So maybe if we go further, you can start to talk to like the approach itself, what it's about, what are the main things that you focus on in the training and things like that. And
Okay.
yeah, we'll start there and we'll see what unfolds from that.
So I'll talk about my own personal journey again as well, because I think the process is going to be different for everyone. But I can talk about how it affected me, and that will give some insight to anyone sort of jumping on the bandwagon or interested to understand it. Um, I was given 5 what we call base power exercises, and they're just exercises that you do for a set period of time. And that set period of time changes over time as you develop, and also the technique changes every single session. And that's because as you progress, which is weekly, as you progress weekly from your own experience doing your diligent homework at home, doing your work, wherever you like to do it, your body starts to change. Now, for me in particular, I had a bit of fire to my nature. You go sort of hot tempered, hot headed. So for me, when I was given the exercises, I would do them full force, full fury, and really turn into them. And I didn't understand it at the time. But what I was actually doing was I was burning this energy. So I was using this energy and putting it what I would call the cauldron, the dantian, because our focus is there, our mind, body, breath. From day one, and there's a syncing of these 3 things. It's an Najia martial art. And mind, body, breath is the focus. So releasing tension along the way is the goal. You know, that's basically it. You just do that. That's the process. You just do it over and over again, constantly refining. I guess the longer you burn wood or coal, the more it changes, right?
Mhm.
The more something's under pressure, it's going to change. So eventually, what I'd realized is it took about 6 months of this intense training, and then my temper had gone. And it was like a surreal sensation, just walking in the street, a situation happened. I realized, oh, I'm not upset by this at all. In fact, I'm observing it, and I was able to continue on past it without any negative feelings or emotions, which I found amazingly interesting, and that sort of set the tone from there. So that's when I realized by focusing on mind, body, and breath through particular exercises, semi-internal, semi-external exercises. We're definitely moving the outside body, but we're also definitely focused on the inside body as a primary. The external movements are secondary and should later on become no mind. So no thought there, no thought process on the external body should become automatic. And it does. It does become automatic. Otherwise, it won't work. Um, so that's the sort of journey. You learn these exercises, you do them over and over again, and you transform your thoughts because your thoughts are no longer escaping you. They're no longer, uh, you're no longer being captivated by certain thoughts or being stuck on them because you're constantly following your breath. So you're constantly following your breath to your dante and leading it in there. And what that starts to do is it starts to hook your thoughts and draw them into your dante or into your lower cauldron. So you're constantly transforming and refining yourself. Um,
How much training are you talking about? Because you said you were training quite a lot even in this early stage. What does like a beginner amount of a lot look like for you?
okay, so it's I think with these kind of things, it's your effort is your result. So the initial program was each exercise is 10 minutes initially. Okay. Now, even though you do each exercise for 10 minutes, there is a particular type of breath work that we do, which is, let's call it belly breathing. So you want to breathe like a baby. If you look at a baby under 2 years old, they're breathing from their belly. Chest is
Mhm.
still, belly is working like a pump. So we have to reawaken that aspect of ourselves, right? That's the big transformation, um, sort of bus, if you like. We have to hop on that bus, right? So that part is, we used to do it. I was initially told you do it 10 minutes in the morning, as soon as you wake up, 10 minutes at night, as you're going to sleep, right? That's the initial start. Now, the other part is throughout the day, as much as you can, you focus on the breath. So at any part throughout your day, you're always bringing your attention to your breath and the Dantian breathing. So you start to cultivate that connection and that cultivation, the body returning back to its natural breathing style, where it's from the Dantian or from the abdomen, all right? Um, so we do the exercises once a day, takes you about an hour or so, hour and a half. But the breath work, as much as you can throughout the day, you're trying to do that full time. And for me, it took about, I mean, I got the principle on the first session. My teacher gave me a transmission that first session. It was quite profound. Um, and it made me grasp what the breath work was about, what it does. So from there, I was very dedicated to throughout my day, bringing that into my practice. So I would, I'd be walking, focusing on that breath, doing the task, focusing on that breath. And the consensus is basically, unless you're doing a mathematical equation, you don't need your upper brain. You need your lower brain, your body's brain, your dantian. So you can bring all your breath into there and all your physical activities, including things like driving, become enhanced because you're no longer zeroing in on a particular aspect. Rather, you see everything from a much bigger perspective, right? Because
Uh,
your main focus is on your belly breathing. So now your awareness expands and you're able to see more things going on around you. So that process, that aspect of the training that happens, it's all part of the parcel. There's no instruction for it. That part, it just happens. It's a part of the process and it changes you. So it changes your character, it changes the way you view things. So to answer your question, it's a 1 hour a day, 1 to 1.5 hours a day initially, but you're trying to do the breath work all day until it becomes automatic, which if you're very dedicated and you follow the proper guidance of a proper instructor, you'll get it within 6 months, 100%. No doubt. Yeah.
and so you didn't have any trouble with like establishing the daily practice? A lot of the students I deal with, that's one of the biggest challenges I come with. Like people find it really hard to change their habits to bring this kind of daily practice, even if they know it's good for them, even if they can see how it changes them. There's like some sort of resistance to making it important enough to put in the day. Yeah,
Okay.
what can you talk about? Speak to that about?
Yeah, I think that's pretty easy to sort of cover. And it's also kind of profound. Okay. So, and I'm going to talk about myself again, just because it's a clear example. I felt once I met my teacher, I felt a profound understanding of how important it is and valuable it is what he's showing. I felt like a lot of pieces of a puzzle all fell into place in regards to my life previously. I feel like a lot of the questions I had about life in general, not day to day tasks, but life is a bigger scope, all fell into a box. He encapsulated everything for me. So to practice what I was shown was very easy because I understand the importance. So as I mentioned, on the from day one, he gave me an initiation, which I did absorb. So what did that do? And why did I find it so profound and easy to then follow the program? Quite simply, was before that happened, I had a quite a severe accident. Would have died. Was very close to dying, as the priest had to read me my last rites. It was quite serious. Yeah, it was quite serious. So I understood that aspect of life. So part of me also needed some healing from that. I had some PTSD or this sort of thing. And an interesting part that I had was I would get nauseous and quite sick violently sick in a very short period of time. Usually after eating something like greasy food or something. So I had a laparotomy surgery, so quite a serious surgery there. Uh, After my initiation, my teacher, I was that sickness was coming on. Now all of a sudden, I felt my whole body uh, magnetized, so I could feel different magnetic qualities all over my body, which I'd never felt before. And then I felt like, hang on a second, I can just pull this out of me. So I started to wipe my shoulders, and I started to feel this stickiness coming off. So I started to pull this stickiness out of me. Next, I felt like I was pulling something up, and it was gone. I never got that sickness again. It was completely gone. Um, that what happened there, that experience expanded into different areas uh, very um, broadly in my life at that period of time. So I've since learned that when you have a proper initiation from a proper master, if they really wake you up like that, you will have your energy, bang, expanded. So it's going to be quite full on. You might go to touch something, it'll move away from you, which would happen to me. Um, so I was like, what the hell is this? But I knew what it was. I knew where it'd come from more so than anything. Um, so understanding that part, seeing it, experiencing it, I had no options but to pursue the training.
Mm.
Um, Doing the breath work, you know, I mean, people do breath work, but when you do it deeply and properly in a rich system, you can do the breathing and everything around you can vibrate to a degree where someone can walk in the room and they'll feel the vibration. So there's something profound going on there. So for me personally, pursuing the curriculum and understanding its importance was very basic and very simple. And there was no question for me. That's the direction I had to pursue and go further into to understand what was going on, but also to embody it. Um, there was also other masters in the system already at that time who had properly mastered the system. So, you know, the Marcian created masters before he opened the doors publicly. So there were stories of these monsters in the system and some of the things they were doing. And then having my experiences made me realize this is not bullshit. This is it's tangible. I can feel it. I'm not an idiot, so I'm going to pursue it. An idiot would turn their back on what they can feel, touch, see, you know, taste.
Mm.
You would be stupid not to pursue it. Now, that's the problem I think with modern day people is sure they can have a nice, pleasant, calming, soothing, even a magnetic experience. You can make them feel their own magnet in a couple of minutes. But that doesn't make them want to explore further. They might think, well, that feels nice, this was pleasant, back to work I go. And
Mm.
that's the sum of it, right? But for me personally, I feel like I had a deeper question from when I was young, and I feel like the system answered that very quickly from my day one. So that's why for me personally, it was very easy to follow that curriculum.
Cool. So, maybe we can go on a slightly different angle now. Like the system, at least looking from the outside, from what little I've seen of it, is very martially orientated. Um, but it's also a very clearly deep cultivation system. So maybe you can talk a little bit to how the martial aspects influence the cultivation aspect. Not everyone wants to go around fighting people all day, every day. And it's not even like you do that, but the martial aspect still helps with the cultivation in a really deep way. So maybe you can talk to that a bit.
So how does the martial aspect help with the cultivation?
Yeah.
Okay, very simple, very simple. Um, it's that inner fire, right? That inner aggression that people have. And it doesn't have to be to hurt somebody. It can be that inner aggression at yourself. Just, yeah, this didn't work out. That that's something inside of you. That inner fire is what you have to use to do the exercising in the first place. You know, the exercises are quite simple, but very taxing physically if you can't find something inside of you to keep pursuing through. And it can't be a quick fire short burst. It won't work. It has to be something constant. So you have to be able to constantly fuel this movement, these exercises that you have to do. So having that martial quality, whether it's that inner fire or um, you like a personal challenge, but you really want to persevere through something, I feel like that's what I see that the guys that have gone further in the system, that have really developed quite well, they all have that inner fire to them. Even if they're outwardly quite peaceful, you press them, you find that, oh, hang on a minute, now I can see your button. You've got that fire to you. You don't have that fire, you're going to think, oh, hang on a second, that hurt me. I want to go back and paint some flowers, right? So it's not going to work for you. You have to have that. There's going to be contact. There's going to be bang. You're going to have to get hit. You're going to have to go, oh, yeah, okay, I want to get stronger so I can not get hurt. So that's the martial quality that's going to help you to go further. It's a strong will. And that goes back to day one. Again, my teacher said, if you haven't got a strong will, forget about it. You can't do this art. So to me, the strong will, I call that your fire. Think that answered that question?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. One of the things I've also noticed, even for people who aren't necessarily into the really martial side of things, just basic stuff like learning to receive heavy power, and learning to express your own power has incredible value in terms of the personal development, right? When you stop being afraid of power, essentially, of force, and can let it. Most people actually have a lot more trouble letting it out than accepting it in. People that at least that I've seen are very, very willing to like, you actually they'll ask, "Oh, can you do that heavy punch on me?" or whatever. They're kind of interested in the heavy power. But when you get them to do it on someone else, it struggles to come out. It gets all distorted. Um, and I found this has like a big crossover into just letting anything out, ideas and opinions and all sorts of things when it can like move freely. That has a big effect on the rest of your life. Particularly when I was doing this stuff and working in an office, having someone confront your ideas with their own ideas. It seems like a nothing thing, but as soon as you feel like you can take some power and you can give some, then that exchange becomes a lot more relaxed. It becomes a lot like way, way, way more chill. Yeah, so maybe you can speak a little bit to that kind of thing that in your experience in your life, how this has changed other aspects of your life.
Definitely. I think for this, I'd like to give an example of partner work and work in particular where I help people to get out of that
Mm.
box actually. Um, because you're right, everyone's happy to take a shot. It's quite funny. Even people that are very soft, like, okay, you can hit me.
Yeah.
I'll take that heavy shot. And then I say, okay, now hit me. And then they hesitate. They don't want to hit back. And I say, why? They say a lot of it's because, oh, it's not in me. I don't want to hurt you. They don't want that, maybe that they don't want to feel like they're hurting you. And it's probably just because they're genuinely good people. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I tend to find that, if anything, that it's just they're a good person. Any asshole can want to hit you and try to hurt you. But a good person tends to not want to hurt somebody, so they don't want to hit you. So I really have to convince them that it's completely fine. I'm conditioned. You may hit me.
Yeah.
And then they realize that doesn't hurt. Right. So I found that um, the way to bring that out of someone is to really to make them feel safe and comfortable in the idea that one, they're not going to hurt you, they're not doing the wrong thing, and it's a benefit. It's a benefit for them to see what they can do, and it's a benefit for me to see what they can do, so that way I can then help them to bring out more. And once they cross that barrier of actually letting it go, which eventually they will with that kind of guidance, um, then you see that they do tend to feel quite a bit more comfortable to go further and to keep it up, right? So I guess that's character building, isn't it? So, and when you look at Kung Fu, a lot of people turn to Kung Fu as a self cultivation, challenging yourself, cultivating yourself. It's not about fighting other people. Kung Fu is initially meant to be for self defense. So fighting someone or hitting someone is not your main goal at all. It's about overcoming your own personal challenges through the hardship of your training. And if you've got a good school, you do get to you will hit somebody in a safe, controlled environment where you're not going to hurt your partner, but you're both going to become stronger. Your partner's going to become stronger. They become more resilient from the impact, which is part of the training and the explanation that helps a partner to want to strike you. And they're learning how to, oh, okay, yep, I'm powerful, I'm strong, I can use this in a real way if ever I needed to. So they develop that confidence that comes with it. So it's just a part of the learning journey. And I think if it's just given the right way, like the confidence is given the right way, I don't think anyone has ever not jumped on the bandwagon of, okay, I can feel comfortable hitting you. You know, I've dealt with some quite soft people, yeah, with the right explanation and backstory to why we do that, then they tend to be quite comfortable, if that makes
Cool.
sense.
Yeah, 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 totally. So I want to shift gears a bit now. And part of how you develop the power you do in your system is you've got this really nice way of like relaxedly mobilizing basically every cell in your body to go towards something. And there's a kind of mobility in that that I've seen in you that I don't see in even people who like stretch a lot and can bend a lot and have, externally good coordination. There's this like it's literally looks like on a cellular level, like all your cells go towards a particular task. Yeah, so I'm kind of interested to hear both how you develop this because I feel like it's not in the way people think. Uh, there was an analogy you said to me about a river not too long ago, so maybe you can kind of talk to that a little bit if that's appropriate. And then also just kind of what the practices look like because yeah, again, you're not using too much static stuff as far as I can see. There's lots and lots of like mobile moving drills, right?
Okay. So there's quite a bit there, right? There is quite a bit to unpack there. So there is static in the system. There certainly is static, but it's not necessary, and it's definitely not necessary for a prolonged period of time. Okay. A lot of the guys in the system, what I've discovered, like to be active. I don't know if that's what's, you know, what Marcia Yang is intentionally drawn to the system, or if that's, I have no idea. But from my experience, what I understand is a lot of the guys in the system, we don't enjoy the static stuff terribly much. I don't mind 20 minutes. That's about it. Um, so again, we have the focus on the dantian. So let's just say we have a basic punch. So that basic punch that we learn comes from the dantian. So mind draws a breath into, expands, condense to exhale, right? So as I'm condensing, I'm pushing everything out. So I'm literally pushing everything out. So if I condense my abdomen, I've pushed my blood up, but I've also pushed it down. So down my legs, up my trunk. I've raised my organs. All my fluids, my blood, my organs, my oxygen inside my body, my chi, my pressure, it's all coming up. So now if I am choosing to direct all that force out like a whip, for example, there's a mass traveling up, a kinetic force traveling up and out. So then through the technique that we use, we allow that force to travel to the very end of whatever we're using, right? And we just do that over and over and over again. We do one punch. You can do it for, I only learn one punch for the whole year, for example. Okay? So until my body is properly flowing like a kinetic chain. Now, when you do something for that long, densing the abdomen, pushing the organs up, pushing all the blood, washing everything, any tight muscles, they constantly getting the blood forcing through that tight muscle, pushing it open, essentially, releasing the tension because they're washing it, they're nourishing it. So painful spots are because of constriction in the body, blockages, which are dry. Blood's not coming in there. That's why it hurts. When you're forcing the blood up through those spots, it expands. You have blood flow, you have circulation. Now you become pain free. Now the area becomes open. The muscle may lengthen, the joint may open. All this kind of thing starts to work. So there's a physical reason why it works. It's not imagination, move the chi. It's physically moving the chi, right? Everything, like you said, the cells, everything is going in one direction. You're following that kinetic chain, that kinetic link, all the way to the end. So we do that. I mean, I don't know, it's probably 100,000 times in a year. You know what I mean? So you do it for so many years, you've done it millions of times. So you've conditioned your body. The way that we move, we lengthen our joints just a little bit and snap them back. So we're conditioning our elastic force through our tendons, through our joints, right? Everything becomes very soft and supple. The blood is used to flowing, bang, 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 different directions with whatever technique we're doing. Now, because we constantly have a focus on coming from the dantian, coming back to the dantian, especially initially, and the dantian initially is the lower abdomen. Okay, so we're not talking about the body is a dantian. That's later. But initially, you're focusing from the lower abdomen. So it's not great. You're not this great kung fu master. But you're developing the qualities to later on use the whole body as a dantian. Because you've got the blood circulating through. You've released your blockages. You've done particular exercises to increase your chi. All this kind of stuff, right? Now, there are different elbows in the system, which teach us to maybe circulate the body. So lift up, bang, drop back down, spring back up and out. So this kind of thing is what is developing what we call our drop power. We inhale, we rise, we exhale, we sink. That becomes a rule. That becomes an automatic rule. So that's an automatic rule. Punch comes in, up, deflect, bang, drop down, whole body, everything, open body, open arms, open, elongated tendons, ligaments, fluid movement. It's all there. So bang, it hits you. It's my whole mass hitting you. And it's hitting you at lightning speed because we learned what we call lightning speed. Lightning speed is exactly what it sounds like. It's lightning fast. You probably won't even, someone throws five elbows or five strikes, you probably see one or two if you're lucky. The other three are going to hit you without you even knowing. It's too quick. Our body's too elastic. It's too fluid. It just goes. You've got forces like shaking power. Yeah, you're shaking. Like, bum, 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 bum. Because your body is so conditioned and the kinetic chains there, the rubbery qualities are built throughout your tissue or fascia, whatever people want to call it, doesn't really matter. It just works. So your heavy force is hitting one end, bang, slapping around to the other end, bang, hitting. So you're always hitting with your whole body power. So whatever touches you, even if it's at lightning speed, it has whole body power. Your body's already shifted and transferred all the weight, all your mass to the next point of contact. Bang, transfer to the next point of contact. And that can, you can throw 7 strikes in a second, for example. And your mass, your whole mass will be at that point of contact. So there's a very quick transfer of power. So the system, the exercises are designed to build basic power. So one, bang. So teaching the body all to move in one direction at one time. Then we have linking power. 1, 2, bang, bang. So learning how to transfer the power. So how do you transfer the power in a linear fashion? It won't work. You're gonna snap something. So you have to learn all the little pathways in the body, how to transfer power to your body very quickly in a way that's not going to snap your muscles. So how do you learn that? Do you learn it because someone tells you to follow a line through your body? No. You have to learn it through diligent practice. You have to learn it by doing hundreds and thousands of repetitions, day in, day out. That's how you learn it. So your body becomes conditioned, then you can do it. You look at a boxer, a good boxer, when they're doing shadow boxing, is the best example. And they're going bump, 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 all hooks, uppercuts, straight punches, lightning fast speed. That's kung fu, right? It's the same sort of skill there, but they just transfer it to their fist, lightning fast every time. Every fist that hits you, whole mass, the whole body's mass can be behind that punch. So that's what we're learning to do in our kung fu system, but in a very awkward different sort of ways. We use our elbows, fists, hammer fists, slaps. You can use whatever parts of your body to transfer the force, and you're learning to do it in a lightning speed. And yeah, I mean, without in-person instruction and demonstrating via the exercise as the vehicle, I think that's probably about as
Yeah, yeah,
good an
that
explanation as I can
it
give.
won't come across that easily. Um, the thing I was always really uh, taken by with your demos, especially when we've done them in person, is this quality of chaos that comes out in the way that you fight. It's just like power is everywhere. You don't know where it is. It doesn't have this sense that you see in a lot of like traditional martial arts where one person does something, you're going to do this against that, and then they do this, and it's like this step by step by step thing. And I was always dubious about that because I saw too many times, I didn't get in a lot of fights myself in growing up, but I saw other people in fights and the people would just go into like this Tasmanian devil like chaos thing with no training, and they're very, very hard to deal with. There's just power flying everywhere. Now, if you take that same thing, but then you put a vehicle behind it like you're talking about, that's extremely elastic, and any one of those points has a lot of power out at it, then suddenly it's like this whirlwind of just heavy power that it doesn't matter where you touch it, you're gonna have a bad time. And this is what I found out about your stuff. I never saw you doing like take the line or any of this kind of fancy stuff. It was just like a whirlwind of power that I don't want to go near. And it's honestly very, very heavy. It looks so silly when you look at it online and you're not used to what it feels like. Um, and you haven't been on the receiving end of it because it looks like you're just kind of spazzing out a bit.
Waving my arms around like a spastic.
Yeah, yeah. But
Sweaty mosquito, some people will say.
Yeah, but the heaviness on these things, honestly, like when Adrian has demonstrated on me in person, goes like through crash pads, like the proper fighting pads that you hold. It goes right through just
Clothes.
through my body. It like floors me into the ground and so on. So um and that it's really there at all those points. It's not something you want to really get in the way of at all unless I know you're horribly well conditioned. But yeah, I found that very interesting as an actual practical martial side of things. For me, that's more like how a fight's going to go down with a lot of this chaotic movement, and you're better off being familiar with that and trained in that.
Yeah. So to make it work, it sounds simple. It's just physical movement. It's not quite that. There's a lot of letting go. Like
Mm,
when I say the body opens up, it's not just the body, it's the mind. Your mind opens up as well. And it has to open up because of all that speed, if you try to control it consciously, like every action, it's just not going to happen. I mean, in the beginning, when you're learning to do it, you try to do that and you injure yourself, right? And if you're doing it without guidance, which I did at one point, I almost really cracked my back open. Um, so I had to take a step back and really learn how to do it properly. But when you learn how to do it properly, you develop what we call reflex mind. So, like a sneeze, all these parts in your body work to create this pressure that pushes out. That's the action and that's the state of mind that you're using for this movement. So we have a special method to develop what we call reflex mind. So that's what allows those qualities to really come out and become alive. And what I mean by alive is this: when something comes out, you touch it. From that touch, your body knows exactly what to touch next, whether it's the elbow, the shoulder, the chest, the face, another arm. It'll just go bang, 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 like a reflex, and it'll cut in, if that makes sense. And the idea of it is that it's supposed to be like a tornado. So one of the ideas, we call it tornado elbow. It's meant to just cut in like a vicious tornado, all this circular force coming in and just smashing through and attacking. And that's it. Should be uh, the saying that was on the wall. Um, what was it? Gone in 30 seconds. Whatever it is, it's it. It's all over in 30 seconds. So our philosophy is everything's done and dusted in 30 seconds. Yeah, so
And
we're
and
not
you're
there for
really
a fighting system.
yeah, nice. You're really training this quality, this kind of tornado quality in lots of strange positions, right? I've seen you doing like crouch down stuff behind you, all sorts of things like this.
So that comes to I guess the idea of drunken style. One of the first things Marcin ever said to me was, "I'll teach you drunken style." So he never officially taught me drunken style. But then when I train, I realized, oh, it's drunken style. I'm moving like a drunken person. I look like I'm out of balance. I'm all over the shop. There's no such thing. It's the centrifugal force creates a force that will be able to come around and have a heavy impact. Doesn't matter if I'm stepping back, look like I'm falling over. That's the awkwardness that's inside the style. Uh, yeah, it's quite unique. So yeah, we could say Marcin, my teacher, uh, my main teacher, I will say, is a master of drunken style. So he's got the family system. He's got his own unique development that he's created there, and it's mixed with what looks like drunken style. So it's a very awkward martial art in demonstration, but as you know, the functionality is all there. It's actually very applicable, very functional.
Yeah, probably more than many of the other styles I've seen. And it seems to be quick too, which is nice. You still got to put the hours in, but relatively speaking, things like Tai Chi as martial arts are 30, 40 years if you're lucky to even get there. Same with
But
a lot of other Chinese martial arts, whereas, boxing's got a good turnaround. You can put someone completely new, train them for like 6 months a year, and they're going to be okay. At least they're going to be able to handle themselves. And it looks very much the same from your system, from what I've seen.
definitely, yeah, it's definitely we say 12 months of serious training is like 10 years of Tai Chi training or other system. And you're going to develop high level explosive power, conditioning, and understanding of your body and movement mechanics in 12 months if you train in a dedicated fashion.
Mhm. Nice. So to finish off, I kind of want to bring this back around to the more cultivation side of things, and I want to hear how you integrate things like meditation. I know you do a little bit of healing. Um, yeah, that kind of deeper part of understanding yourself and your identity and more spiritual side of things.
That's a rabbit hole.
Yeah, a big one. Just go in as far as you like. You don't have to go deep, but maybe just a few choice examples would be great.
Okay. So let's talk about meditation.
Mm.
Give me a second. The noisy car here. Okay. So meditation, I went into that a little bit. And let's see. Let's just say the qualities that Yang Mian develops. What does it develop? It develops quality of mind that can. Just one second. I'm just going to turn on the light here. Ah, okay. You develop quality of mind that helps us to have um, a very uh, strong focus, but also awareness. So strong focus. I will example is we follow the breath in. We follow the tip of the breath in through the body. Feel all the sensations. Draw it down. Expand. Feel what it's doing from there. Okay. So that in itself can lead to very profound experiences in meditation. Like you can go very deep there. Um, what else is making it work? When you soften the muscles, when you soften all the tissues, your nervous system can actually work properly. It can fire through your body. So now what do you have? You have extra electricity, um, sparking through your entire body unbroken. So you have freedom of movement, electrical currents through your system. Now, what do these electrical currents do that move freely through your system? They connect to whatever's around you. Okay. So, what are you drawing to you with your breath work? I'm not going to answer that. I'm not going to answer that. But what are you drawing to you with your breath work? What's the quality of your consciousness with your breath work? That quality, that quality of consciousness that you're utilizing with your breath work in a meditative condition or under meditative conditions You're going to dictate the interaction that your nervous system will have with your environment and your body. Okay, so your body's a big player here because there's a lot of things that happen. Your consciousness is working. You From that quality of your consciousness, you're drawing something closer to you. Your energy is expanded. Therefore, your magnetic qualities are expanded. So now what happens? You start to tap into uh, true reality, right? So what's true reality? Is it what we can see? I think even science has proven what we can see is like a fraction of what is really there. So if there's extra things around us, and we can tune into that by tuning our nervous system more correctly, tuning our the frequency of our mind in a more harmonious way to our true surroundings. Now we can have a profound meditation experience. So what will that involve? That will involve the body sort of letting go of the body more so and tuning into the frequencies. Uh, that's all I'm really going to say about meditation because anyone that really meditates will understand that and they will know from their own experiences where that can lead them and what can come about from that. More than that, I don't really want to say.
Cool.
Not on public record.
Yeah, yeah, fair enough. So as part of that, do you have like a part of your practice that's dedicated to like a still seated meditation, or you do it all within the actual practices of Yang Mian?
So we have different parts. We have moving, we have fast, we have slow, we have stop. So there is definitely seated, there is definitely standing, and there is lying down. So all those, the three different methods of stillness bring about completely different experiences. I find sitting brings you more in line with your truer mind, I will say. Your higher consciousness, if you like. You can find better answers to inner questions. So that's what I would find with sitting. Lying down, I find can be the most profound if you can do it properly without going to sleep. You let the body sleep, mind stays awake. And the standing is yeah, definitely profound. It encompasses a whole lot of different areas which I've experienced through different stages of development. So either one, whether you're standing, sitting, or lying down, if you're doing it properly, if you can put the right ingredients into your meditation, you can have a wonderful experience and a wonderful development. Now, we develop from our experiences. So whether it's meditation, whether it's movement, whatever it is, in some way, shape, or form, really, essentially, everything is meditation. Even when you're watching TV, you're meditating. Your mind's traveling, right? Your imagination, your inner world is going. Right? Uh, so everything's a meditation. That's why I say the quality of your consciousness dictates your experience. The quality of your body and development can increase that experience and give you some profound experiences. Is what I would say from my experience. Okay.
Nice. Cool. All right, man. I think that's a pretty good spot to wrap up there. Obviously, all of these topics we could go in deep indefinitely. Not all of them work on a podcast. So yeah, if you want to check out Adrian's stuff, he is on Instagram and YouTube at the moment. Do you have anything else up there for people to check out? I'll put links in the show notes for people to follow. So
Yeah, and that's it at the moment. I am developing my online presence, my
uh,
webpage and my online course. When I finish that, I will link it to my Insta profile and my YouTube. I'll connect it all. But that's about it for now. I'm a journeyman. So I'm working, training,
okay.
quietly teaching, and soon I'll be sharing it quite a lot more.
Cool. Well, I'll put links to all of that stuff in the show notes for people to follow along and check out some of the videos, especially on Instagram. If you want to hear what we were talking about with the elbows and stuff. There's a few really, really good videos of the elbows on all of that. I really like that a lot of your videos also just like, I'm going to tell you how this all works, and then it's like quiet, or there's just music and the actual speaking's out. So you really got to look at what you're doing and kind of let the bodies talk to each other across the screen if you wanna kind of get a sense of what's going
I'll,
on.
I'll say I'll say something on that. I'll say something. That's you know, everyone has their own intelligence, their own intellect, and their own level. So from what they see, they'll get their own understanding, and then that's uninterrupted by me putting a thought in their head. This is what it is.
Yeah.
So you get to use your own understanding to take in that information and do with it as you want according to your level. So I do get stupid messages, but then I get messages from high level people. They go, "Oh man, that's right on. You're developing this, and that. Can I do a lesson, online or in person?"
Mm,
So you know, that's on purpose, and that's the way the system has been taught. It is not much talking. It's doing, feeling, watch, learn, interpret, gain the concept, use it.
nice. Cool. Thanks, man. I appreciate you taking the time. Yeah, we'll wrap it up there, and looking forward to seeing you again in person and doing some training. And if anyone else is in the area, I can highly recommend checking Adrian out if you have the time and the fire. Need that fire to check it out. Cool. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks, Craig.